I used to wonder about Gethsemane, and I used to think that why did Jesus have to pray and ask God that if it's possible, can you take this cup away from me? And in my mind, I was like, was it that he wasn't fully committed? Was it that he was afraid? Was it that he didn't really want to go through with it? And it was just yesterday when I got the realization, and it just blew my mind open. All it is about is obedience. Now the thing you have to know is that God is the first storyteller. And as a storyteller, I feel that so deeply. It's one of the elements about God, and it's one of the aspects of Him that just makes me lose my mind every single time. And one thing about storytelling is parallels. When you read parallels in storytelling, it really shows that this writer knew what he was doing from the very beginning. And going back to the beginning, we see a story of Adam and Eve and God in the garden. And everything was going A-okay and perfect until Adam and Eve disobeyed. And now flash forward how many thousand years, and Jesus is standing in that garden as well. And as he said in Romans chapter 5, say one Adam led everyone to sin. I'll leave the Bible words. And then the second Adam redeemed everything. And how appropriate that the conversation that God was having with God revolved around obedience. God told Adam and Eve, do not eat of this fruit. I have presented a whole grace for you, an abundance of fruit for you to enjoy. But this one, respect my wishes. And that was the very one that Adam and Eve ate, disobeying God's words. And now, God was presenting Jesus with another fruit, with another cup of wine, a very bitter wine that he had to go through. And Jesus prayed and said, God, can you take this cup away from me? But that moment where he said, Father, your will be done, say not as I will, but as you will, it showed that what went askew with Adam and Eve was corrected by Jesus. And all of it played into the story. It was no longer about thinking if Jesus didn't really want to go through with it or wanted to go through with it. It was unimportant because he had let the will of God swallow up his own will. And I believe that that's the way that God wants us to live a kind of life where his will swallows up our own will, where our appetite and our hunger and our desires are no longer what moves us, but everything that God is and everything that God stands for is the force, is the gravity around us that is shaking and changing and affecting our entire lives. So that's just a wonderful realization that I thought I would share. Bye!